And we're back on the air, which I guess that means we're going to do the 15-minute time limit.
Time for the 15-minute time limit. We're going to do a little bit of State of WWE this week, considering the fact that, WWE is kind of fucked. There's a bad TV deal, there's Bryan injuries, the network not only getting 6,700,000 subscribers, 2/3 of what they actually wanted. So, 6 months to a year ago, we were speculating on all this happening on the network and whatnot, and we're sitting here now, May 21st. It's been 3 years and 1 day since the Macho Man has left this planet, and we're sitting here at the, quote, collapse of the WWE to an extent. It's not exactly in a collapse, but it's definitely a downturn because, the most over guy in the company is injured. The government the government and the security agencies are coming after WWE, financially speaking, and they did a really good job hyping up, buying stock, but then they just kind of sat there and completely underperformed. I mean, finally, Wall Street feels our pain when we watch wrestling every week, wondering when something's going to happen. Do you guys believe that the mentality that they've been having for the past 6 months, which has kept Bryan down, intentional or not, do you believe that attitude filtered over into the economic situation, and do you believe that had any sort of effect on how they performed?
Well, I don't know how much attention that's shareholders and stockholders and everything pay to the show creatively. They might not know the first thing about wrestling, and they might not even really care. I mean, it's really pretty interesting, the fact that we don't really ever really talk about it. But the idea that WWE doesn't just have to answer to us as fans who, talk about how, the Daniel Bryan character is being mismanaged or held down. I think anybody who's watched in the past 6 months knows that whole saga, because it's really pretty obvious. But it's interesting that, people with the money, people who back you up, I kind of think about like movie executives, and movie executives don't necessarily care if, say, the new Spider-Man movie is quote-unquote good. They care if it makes money. And if it doesn't, then obviously they try to find reasons why and try to change things. Like I said before, executives get fired, people get replaced. I think the big thing, whether or not you pay attention to the show creatively or not, the big thing for the shareholders, people that WWE actually does have to answer to, beyond just us fans who watch it and everything, the important thing is what they've been told. And that is kind of a sentiment that they hyped and hyped and hyped all these things, the network, WrestleMania, all this and that, the new TV deal, and then when they happen, they're just sort of lackluster, and they don't really, it's just not what they promised. And, that's just, that's just human nature, 101 stuff. If you say one thing, and you promise one thing, and something else happens, then you're going to be held accountable for it. And in this case, it's to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. And, people with this firm with this high stake in WWE now trying to make a power play, and these other firms investigating the company for potential law infractions, which, if they did, could really cripple the company.
I'm worried that because they did what they did, and they hyped up the network and the launch and the whatnot so much, that they've essentially popped their own bubble, and they're going to suffocate under it, because what they've done is they spread themselves a little too thin. I think, I'm not worried that they're going to make money off the network. I think the network over time will turn out to be one of the best decisions they've ever made, to be completely honest with you, because it'll get them money and going into their service outside of the cable industry, which, in my opinion, is going down, considering all these mergers and the greatest amount of rage. The companies that people hate the most are ISPs and cable companies. So at this point, we're looking at, we're looking at a point where Americans are pulling away from cable companies, and so that's why cable companies in traditional, television packages where people want it a la carte. So if you want it a la carte, you get services like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu Plus and all of that junk. That's why streaming has become such a problem. That's why this net neutrality thing has become such a big deal, because they want to make the fast lanes and the slow lanes and whatnot. And I can go on and on and on about this, but at the end of the day, the WWE wants to cash in and wants to stay ahead of the curve. They've stayed ahead of the curve. If everybody's going to start paying attention to how WWE is going to do things, and I guarantee you in 5 years that if this WWE thing is actually as successful as I'm saying right now, then we'll see an ESPN service that'll be like this, or beyond Major League Baseball, maybe an NFL service, or with some of the major companies that are trying. A couple major companies, and then the rest of those little guys that are trying to get their company or their brand over will create their own networks, just like the WWE has. I mean, I could see a NASCAR network, and have it be online subscription. I could see.
They have that.
What else?
It's. I don't know that it's on the internet yet, but you can get it with your cable package. It's called Speed. And it's not just NASCAR. It's also it's not just stock car. NASCAR is a brand. It's not a type of race. But it's not just stock car. It's also sprint cars, drag racing, Formula One. It's actually pretty awesome if you're into that sort of thing.
Right. But the point of the matter is that people are going to start looking at this as a more viable option. So if
and I agree with you that the network was a great idea, and I think it'll continue to be a great idea as long as they deliver on the promise that they made. There's so much content available there's so much content that they haven't made available yet that they could and should. Where's my Monday Night Nitro? Where's my Thursday Night Thunder? How awesome would it be to marathon Raw and Nitro and Thunder all the way through the Monday Night Wars era? I think they've got more of a gold mine than they realize they have, and if they put up the content that people really want to see, they could double or even possibly triple their subscriptions.
And not saying right now that all they've got up there is shit.
Not at all. Not at all. There's lots of good content. I'm just saying there's so much more good content that they haven't put up. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way WWE views its history and kayfabe.
I mean, that's kind of the thing. They didn't really keep their promise, and I don't think anybody's going to say the network was a bad thing. I think it's just a matter of, when you say this number, and really you need this number, and then you don't get it, then it's kind of like, well, people want answers, even if there is no easy answer. I mean, all the time we're in here talking about what creative things they could be doing that theoretically would bring interest back and get people excited and this and that. When you're talking about financials, it's not quite that simple. I don't think, or rather, people want it in more simpler terms. You know, they don't necessarily want to. Shareholders don't necessarily want to hear, well, they could have had Bryan win this match. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. You know, because there is, like I said, there is a big split between the creative and the financial, and basically, you know, WWE is a public company, and they have to answer to these people. And you know, we always say this idea that WWE has gotten too big to fail. I don't necessarily think that's the truth. No, I don't necessarily think that they're going to go under tomorrow, or the McMahons are going to sell it tomorrow either. But this idea that, you know, they do have, you know, one horrible thing could, you know, let's say McMahon is indicted and actually goes to jail or something for you think back to the steroid trials and all that stuff. I mean, you know, what would have happened if he did go to jail, you know?
That's, you know, beyond what we have going on right now. That's completely and totally a possibility.
It's really just the idea that, you know, WWE, despite being such a massive company, works a certain way. And I think a lot of companies work this way too. And, you know, it's sort of a badly kept secret that, you know, certain people on top make the decisions and they control whether they're the best decision or not, and then they control sort of how this giant conglomerate works. And the thing is, you know, we've always kind of theorized what's going to happen when Vince isn't there in the chairman's seat. Well, you know, I mean, what is going to happen? What if the McMahons did sell? What if, you know... I don't think it's a hard sale at all, but, you know, it would be pretty earth-shattering.
I don't know that it wouldn't be a hard sale, because there's not going to be a whole lot of people. We don't have much time left, but there's not going to be a whole lot of individuals or corporations, I think, that are going to be interested in wrestling, even if you show them the numbers and what it's capable of.
Well, I disagree, because it is...
I disagree, too.
Yeah, it's the world's biggest wrestling company. It's almost a monopoly. Again, you know, you might not know the first thing about wrestling, but it is a global company with X amount of dollars and this and that. I mean, you know, even if NBC themselves bought it.
Exactly. I've got money. It's either going to... If somebody were to buy it, and this is just my speculation, it would either be... whatchamacallit? It would be Donald Trump, it would be NBC, or Mark Cuban. I mean, it would be one of those three that would come out of the woodwork and buy WWE, because two out of the three of them have been extremely successful with the WWE, and they would have a nice vested interest. I mean, wouldn't that be a weird turn of events? You know, whatchamacallit? Donald Trump actually buying the WWE?
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, with these entrepreneurs, you know, they don't necessarily, you know, they're not necessarily on the ground floor running the company. They basically see a good idea and sort of recognize people who can run it, and then let it run, and then kind of reap in all the benefits, you know. That's like Cuban, he's on that show Shark Tank. That's essentially what they do on that show. People come in and pitch their idea, and they give them money if they think it's good enough, and then, you know, they get a little involved, but basically just kind of get the return on their investment, basically.
Alright, that's it for the 15-minute time limit. Hey, Yankum, are you hungry?
You know, I could nosh on something.
While segment number 3, Kayfabe Issues, is taking a back seat as of late, we're just going to go straight through to the Dairy Queen drive-thru.
Dairy Queen drive-thru.
Alright, and with the ratings, I'm going to read the ratings this week.
You tricked
Impact. Thursday night's episode of TNA Impact Wrestling did a 0.83, a 0.8 cable rating. equal with last week. Exactly. SmackDown, Friday's episode of WWE SmackDown, drew a 1.77, 1.8 household rating with 2.49 million people. Those numbers are up 5% and 9% respectively from a 1.69 and a 2.28 million. The rating is identical to the rating of the show drew on April 25th before the NFL Draft and the NBA playoffs.
Now, do you know if that was the top show for Friday night?
I think it was number 2 on Twitter. And that's all I know.
They're usually the top show for cable in that time slot for Friday night, or Friday night overall. See, you're supposed to put that in there,
but it wasn't available. So, Raw, Monday night's WWE Raw broadcast drew a 2.72. Ouch. Cable rating with an average of 3.76 million viewers. That's terrible, especially on a week when you got some bad news. Wow. Okay, so with the birthdays, yank 'em DDS.
All right, here come the birthdays. Remember, if there's anybody dead in this list, you can tweet it to us. Somebody just made a duck noise. What the hell? There's a duck.
Dead.
There's a fucking duck in my headphones. Okay, so if there's any persons who are no longer with us, if they have ceased to be, if these are ex-wrestlers, tweet it to us, and you could win a prize. So here we go. On the 21st, we have Redacted, Mr. T, The Sheik, and Mike Taylor. On the 22nd, we have Dirk Dick Butt himself, Daniel Bryan, Tracy Brooks, Cyclope, and Brian Pillman. On the 23rd, we have Drew Carey, JT Flash, and Alan Stone. On the 25th, we have Ricky Banderas, Dos Caras Jr., and Roman Reigns, as well as, Omega, Hiro Saito.
Give my bags! Give my bags!
Is that right? Hiro Saito?
Hiro Saito.
Oh, I was so close. Okay,
and earlier it was, I'm pretty sure it was Cyclope, like Cyclops.
Oh, see, that one's tricky. Okay, so on the 26th we got Simon Diamond and La Sombra. The 27th are Eric Bischoff and Natalia. So that was the birthdays for the week. If there's any dead people in there, tweet us, and you could win a prize.
And now it is time for This Week in Wrestling with Omega BR.
Yes, This Week in Wrestling History, circa 1966, where King Curtis Iaukea defeated WWF World Champion Bruno Sammartino versus disqualification in Pittsburgh, PA. Iaukea was good friends with Kevin Sullivan, who would later grant the name to the unrelated Prince in WCW in 1996 with Curtis's blessing. Jump to 1982, where a Mid-Atlantic wrestling event in Raleigh, North Carolina saw Don Muraco defeat Sergeant Slaughter, Wahoo McDaniel beat Roddy Piper and King Powerons, and Pork Chop Cash defeat Carl Fergie and David Patterson. And in 1994, WCW Slamboree took place in Philadelphia, PA, one of the last shows before Hulk Hogan entered the company. Then United States Champion Steve Austin defeated Johnny B. Bad. Terry Funk and Tully Blanchard battled to a double DQ. WCW World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair defeated Barry Windham after a rare success on the top rope using a flying body press, and Sting defeated Vader to win the vacant WCW International World title in the main event. It was announced that Rick Rude's title win over Sting in Japan was overturned due to Rude using the title belt as a weapon in the bout. In reality, Rude suffered a back injury that ended his in-ring career. Several people were inducted into the WCW Hall of Fame on that broadcast, including The Assassin, Harley Race, Ernie Ladd, Ollie Anderson, The Crusher, and Dick the Bruiser. And that was This Week in Wrestling History.
Happy Trails to Jesse Sorensen, who broke his ill in several places wrestling in Florida over the weekend, requiring surgery. Oh, that poor guy. Jesus Christ, dude. The worst luck ever. And happy trails to hopes of gamers after WWE 2K Twitter confirmed that WWE 2K15 will come out at its usual time on October 28th, rather than the rumored WrestleMania launch.
Here's a question, and this only because we've still got 25 minutes left of time left, so maybe just a little bit of bullshitting here. Do you know if 2K has finished building its engine yet, or are they still using the shitty one from the last developer?
I believe they're making a new one. I believe they're making a new engine. I think that's what was reported.
So the next game, when it launches, it will have the new engine?
I believe so, yes.
Well, I thought the extra time was so they could put the new engine in, but now if they're not going to have it, then I'm not sure.
Well,
they
I
might
can tell you this.
Implement it into it.
I will not be buying any more games that run on that engine. It's the same game with new wrestlers. And if I want new wrestlers, I can put in my WWE 13, I think I've got, or maybe it's 12. I don't remember what the last one I bought was. It's been a while. Anyhow, I can just download CAWs or make them myself.
Yeah.
Also,
I don't know.
release.
I haven't played a WWE game since 2011. I think
2011 wasn't bad. 2012 wasn't bad either. I mean, it's basically the same thing. And, you know, sometimes they fix stuff. And then sometimes, like, if something's broken, if, like, say there's two things broken, they'll fix one thing and then leave the other thing. And then they'll fix the other thing the next year, which will break the first thing they fixed. So there's a lot of that. Or there was with the, what was it, Ukes?
Ukes, yes.
Terrible. I'm glad they're gone. But I'm a dick like that. Fuck those people and their jobs. Make me a good video game.
I know, right?
I am the IWC.
What should we watch this week in wrestling? Yankum.
Well, I didn't get to watch any wrestling this week because I was moving houses. That's how they say it in England. They move houses. I guess they literally pick up the houses and move them around over there. I don't know how that works. But here, I took all my stuff, put it in another house. So I didn't get to see any wrestling this week. So let's go old school. And let's say you should watch the episode of Nitro where, I think it was Nitro, Hogan wins the title off of Jarrett. And it's just Jarrett lays there, and Hogan puts his foot on him and takes the title, and then proceeds to yell at Vince Russo.
Ugh. Omega, which we watched this week in wrestling.
Well, I'm going to say the Anniversario Never Compromise iPay-per-view, if you can get it via Smart Mark Video or by whatever means, because as you may or may not know, Chikara is coming back this Sunday with a new iPay-per-view called You Only Live Twice, and the main event of that show will be the main event of the previous show, which is Eddie Kingston, the Grand Champion, facing Icarus for that championship. So Chikara is back if you're interested in that kind of thing, and get some history from last year, freshen yourself up again.
And I'm going to suggest something that actually happened this past weekend. It was the ROH versus NJPW, the New York City show. Happened on the 17th of May, and Kevin Steen versus Shinsuke Nakamura, and one of the sweetest matches I have seen in a long while. I was very, very happy with it. So, I believe that's it for this week. Yes, maybe no. Do we have any other weird plugs to make?
No, I got nothing. I was going to make a joke about a butt plug, but I'm tired.
Alright, well then, thanks everybody for
Knobs.
listening.
Something about knobs and a butt plug. There you go.
Jesus Christ. Alright, so, I'm going to plug a little news here. How about this? So, Radio Woo, that's a thing. We're currently looking to keep setting this up, and, in theory, we have a bunch of people interested, signed up, and almost ready to go. We just need this technical aspect to work itself out. So once that happens, you'll be the first to know. So that's all we're really waiting on right now. Beyond that, we're looking for a June 1st, Sunday, June 1st, launch date of the Woo Radio Network. It'll include us on our normal time slot of Tuesday nights at 9 p.m.
That's the day after Payback, for those of you who...
It's actually the day of Payback.
June 1st?
June 1st.
Oh, you're right. I don't know why I thought you said June 2nd.
Nope, said June 1st.
So
That's
clarify
the
everybody
day.
out there, it's June 1st.
So we're going to look to go live at midnight EST Saturday on May 31st. So it would be, 11:59 May 31st, and then June 1st, 12:01 a.m. Looking to go live. Currently taking suggestions on the first song that we should play. I mean, it's pretty significant. So, if you could just tell us in the thread, that'd be great. And you could follow... Alright, so I'm going to plug a bunch of stuff here. Twitter.com/ or you could follow us at SmarkSnark. You could follow Radio Woo at Radio Woo. You could follow me at Gunnar Woo here. You could follow Yankum at Isaac Yankum. You could follow Omega BR at Omega BR. And, let's see here, you can follow SmarkSnark on Facebook, facebook.com/SmarkSnark. You could follow, you can email us if you are an independent wrestler or a promoter who would like to get a little more exposure for your promotion and like to be on our show, smarksnark@gmail.com. And, youtube.com/SmarkSnark and, Spreaker.com/SmarkSnark. We don't have anything technical up for the radio yet, but we will soon. Trust us. Probably next week. So, I believe that's it. Yes? Yes? Silence is acceptance.
That's it.
Silence is acceptance. Alright, so here we go. Thank you all for listening. Talk to you next week. Take care. Spike your hair.
Woo, woo, woo.
You know it.
Good night, Carbondale.